Okay, so to kick things off, what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to go through a couple of the names for Ireland, the ancient names for Ireland, and I'm getting this information from a book that was loaned to me by Geoffrey Keating, who I interviewed here a couple of weeks ago. Now this book was written by a man named Geoffrey Keating, and it was actually, the edition that I have here was published in 1726. It's probably the oldest book I've ever had in my possession. And it's a really gift to be able to have this and to be able to go through it. The information in it is fantastic. So I'm going to go through a number of the early names that were given to Ireland. Now the first name for Ireland was Inis Fáil, which means a woody isle. And according to this book, it was called this by a messenger that was sent to Ireland by the son of Pelus. It was also called Crioch, which means the neighbouring country. Its third name was Inis Ealga, which means the noble island. And this was the name given to Ireland even in the time of the bhfiodhbhadh, who we'll get to a little bit later. One of the ancient colonies of Ireland they were. The next name that we come to is Éire, and it's called this from the word aria, which comes from it was a name that used to be given to the country called Crete, which is interesting in itself, and it's also connected to Egypt, believe it or not. Yes, Ireland is connected to Egypt, and this is where the Gedalians came from, or the Milesians, who again we'll get to now in a little bit. It was also called Fódhla, Fodhla, and that was a name of a queen of Ireland, and that's where it was the wife of Macecht, who was one of the two of the Danann. After that, it was also called Banbha, Banba, which was the name of another one of the wives of the last three kings of the two-headed Danann. The two of the Danann, as we'll get to now in a little bit, they came from one place that was called Fáilius. One of the cities that they came from was called Fáilius, which is where the Lia Fáil came from, the Stone of Destiny. And because they brought the Stone of Destiny to Ireland, Ireland had the name Inis Fáil, which means the Island of Destiny. It's interesting as well to find, like, you have these ancient Greek writers, Plutarch called Ireland Ogygia, which means an ancient isle, or the most ancient isle. Now you have to put that into context. What does it mean when the ancient Greeks are referring to Ireland as the most ancient isle, Ogygia? It's really interesting when you think of it like that. Then you have the waves of migrations of people that came to Ireland. And it's really interesting when you're looking at this stuff, because you've got historical accounts that can be verified to a certain degree, like genealogies and, you know, historical data. And then you have legends and stories. And these facts sort of get mixed together and blended until you're left with sort of a really fantastic idea of what this ancient island might have been like. And I don't know why we didn't do this stuff in school. I find it so fascinating, so interesting. If you had this as a piece of foundation of your history, I think it would make you feel a lot more, I don't like to use the word pride, but a lot more protective and aware and, you know, of your culture, of where you came from. And as we know later, at a later point in Irish history, with the invasions, the Anglo-Norman invasions and the English plantations, and the propaganda that would have been put out at the time by, you know, academics or politicians and things like that about the Irish, they were always described as this, like, lower species, dirty, urchin people. And that before the colony happened, we were primitive and uncivilized. And what's also interesting as well is the period of time that we're talking about here is around the time that Newgrange was built. Like, what the hell is Newgrange? Where did that come from? That's older than the pyramids, and you got Nout and Doubt, which are even older than that still. And how many documentaries have you seen about the pyramids of Egypt? Like, whether it was built by slaves, it was built by aliens, all this mad theories, right? But you never ever see documentaries of that scale done on Ireland or on Newgrange. And you have to really ask yourself why. And the history books that we would have been given in school will tell us and ask us to believe that at the time when those people were building these brilliant structures like Newgrange, they were hunter-gatherers. They were primitive hunter-gatherers. How the hell did they have the capacity and the knowledge to build these things, and why would they build them? So much of this has been taken away. So much of this knowledge has been taken away from us, and I believe in my heart of hearts that this has disempowered the Irish people to no end. And it's almost scary how rich and significant and telling the ancient history of Ireland is, and how even significant it is today. What I'm going to read now, just before I finish up, is an extract from the Leabhar Gabáil in Éire, and it's supposedly the words of the great white Fintan, the ancient sage, and it's basically telling the story that I've just told you now, but in verse. Ireland, whatever is asked of me, I know pleasantly, every taking that took her from the beginning of the tuneful world. Césaire came from the east, the woman was the daughter of Bith, with her 50 maidens, with her 3 men. Flood overtook Bith in his mountain, it is no secret, Ladra in Ardla drowned, Césaire in her nook. But as for me, he buried me, the Son of God above the company. He snatched the flood from me, and above heavy Tultunde. I had a year under the flood, in strong Tultunde. I found nothing for my sustenance, and unbroken sleep were best. I was in Ireland here, my journey was everlasting, till Partholon reached her, from the east, from the lands of the Greeks. I was here in Ireland, and Ireland was desert, till the son of Agnomain reached Nemed, brilliant his fashion. The Fir Bolg and the Fir Galleon came, it was long ago, the Fir Downen came, they landed on a headland in the west. Thereafter the Tuatha came, in their masses of fog, so that there was sustenance for me, though it was a long lifetime. The sons of Mil came from Spain, from the south, so that there was sustenance for me at their hands, though they were strong in battle. A long life fell to my lot, I shall not conceal it, till fate overtook me from the King of heaven of clouds. I am Fintan, the white son of Bochna, I shall not conceal it. After the great flood, here I am, the noble great sage. That's from the Leabhar Gabáil Éire, the Book of Invasions, section 26. And where history went after that, well, the Milesians ruled for a very long time, and it was a descendant of a Milesian, Rory O'Connor, the last High King of Ireland, when the Anglo-Normans invaded. Which takes us on to a completely different section of Irish history that I'm not going to go into now. I did actually talk about it before in one of my other podcasts called The Demise of the Brehon Law. So if people are interested in hearing more of the story, you can check that out.